There was a time back in around 2012 where it seemed like all anyone could ever talk about was One Direction. Whether they were discussing Harry's new girlfriend, Louis' new haircut, or Liam's new look, fans of 1D on social media were instrumental in turning the group of X Factor rejects into a musical phenomenon that rivaled the 90s boy band glory days of the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. But all good things must come to an end, and after 5 years of going strong from strength to strength, the band began to crumble with Zayn's departure in 2015. Although they released one more album as a four-piece, the Farewell Project, Made in the AM, it seemed clear that the boys' hearts weren't really in it, and they performed together for the final time on New Year's Eve 2015. Since the split, each of the boys has gone on to explore solo opportunities, with all five of them trying their hand at singles, but only three of them garnering enough support to release full albums. In this video, we'll be counting down the 1D members from least to most successful, and exploring why some of them have done better than others. Number 5. Louis Tomlinson. Louis was always a fan favorite during his time in the group, thanks to his winning personality and his ability to string fans along into believing that he and Harry were really a couple. Many fans expected that Louis would be one of the group's biggest exports after the split, if he played his cards right. Sadly, it didn't take long for Louis to realize that a good personality just isn't enough to succeed in the music industry. You actually have to have talent as well. Louis' first couple of singles, Just Hold On with Steve Aoki and Back to You with Beat Rexa, and Digital Farm Animals, both did better than they should have, each hitting top 10 in the UK. But in live performances of the songs, it became pretty clear that Tomlinson was relying on the strengths of his collaborators to keep them moving, as he had probably been doing for years while he hid behind his bandmates in One Direction. To his credit, it seems as though Louis may have finally figured this out for himself. He began his stint as an X Factor UK judge this year, a role that's probably way more suited to his skills given his personal charms and lack of real music ability besides songwriting. Number 4. Liam Payne. Out of all the One Direction boys, Liam has to be the most reserved. While the other four were known for their distinctive styles and unique personalities in the band, Liam has always managed to blend into the background, thanks to his non-distinctive look and quieter personality. Even now that he's switched up his style, he's still struggling to remedy the blandness that's affected his solo music. Payne's debut single, Strip That Down, managed to hit number 10 in the US and number 3 in the UK, but people on the street would be hard-pressed to sing its chorus a year later. His next two singles, Bedroom Floor and the Zed collab, Get Low, were equally forgettable, thanks to their generic production and cheesy lyrics. Of all the songs he's released, the only one really worth listening to is the 50 Shades Freed soundtrack single, For You. But if we're being honest, that's only due to the hard work put in by collaborator Rita Ora to make him look good. That said, while Payne has been working on his own material, he's also been simultaneously working behind the scenes for other artists. This may be where his true talent lies. During his time in One Direction, Payne co-wrote more than half of the band's third and fourth albums, and in 2014 he used the admittedly gross moniker Big Payno to remix several tracks, including future girlfriend Cheryl's I Don't Care in a future house style. He later went on to write I Won't Break for Cheryl and The Night We Met for Hometown. While none of the songs he worked on were hits, they are at very least listenable, and we get the feeling that if Big Payno swapped his alias for something more kosher, he could make a decent songwriter and producer. Number 3. Niall Horan. Niall was always the poster child for this kind of non-threatening benevolence, and nothing much has changed since he's left the band. Niall's first album, Flicker, features a whole lot of Disney-styled love songs and soulful guitar balladry, but very little in the way of mature subject matter or anything that could confuse a child over the age of 10. That's not to say that this hasn't worked for him, but the 10-year-olds who fell in love with One Direction back when they first appeared on The X Factor are now maturing, and now will have to mature his image if he wants to keep up with an older audience. We'd recommend some hasty tattoos, patchy facial hair, and songs about sex. It worked for Zayn. Number 2. Zayn. Zayn was the first to release solo music outside of 1D, which naturally gives him the best chances of success out of anyone in the group. Just look to Justin Timberlake from NSYNC, Nicole Scherzinger from the Pussycat Dolls, and Cheryl from Girls Aloud for proof of that. At the time of his debut, Zayn was also in the beginning stages of a relationship with Gigi Hadid, which gave him a pathway into the fashion world and which came in useful when he was casting a love interest for his first music video. That's why it was really no surprise when his debut single, Pillow Talk, became a worldwide smash, hitting number 1 in 31 countries and making Zayn the first UK artist to debut at number 1 in the US with their first single. Zayn's first album, Mind of Mine, was equally successful and made him the first UK male artist to debut at number 1 in both the UK and the US. He had another hit later on that year with I Don't Wanna Live Forever, a collaboration with Taylor Swift on the 50 Shades Darker soundtrack. Despite a strong start, however, Zayn hasn't quite been able to maintain his success with recent releases. He seems to be having a total identity crisis with his sophomore album, which so far has been teased with the dancehall teen Still Got Time, the power ballad Dusk Till Dawn, the R&B slow jam Let Me, and the rock-focused Sour Diesel. And yet, no matter what genre he tries his hand at, he seems totally unable to achieve a hit that will help him launch his album. At this point, he's released 7 singles from the untitled album, with the last release Fingers failing to chart anywhere except at 32 in New Zealand. Number 1. Harry Styles. Even though Zayn was the first to step out as a solo artist, Harry arguably had the biggest international profile at the time of Malik's departure, thanks to none other than the key factor, the Taylor Swift effect. His name was splashed over the front of hundreds of newspapers, as the media wondered, could he really be the one? Even when it turned out he wasn't, Styles stayed winning thanks to the free publicity that Swift gave him writing songs about their relationship like Style. Harry's early media popularity is somewhat ironic, given that out of all the boys, he is the one least inclined to play it up for the limelight. While the other 4 boys have tried their hands at showmances, reality shows, and overhyped single launches, Harry has remained relatively low-key throughout his career. His self-titled debut album had 3 singles, but only the lead single, Sign of the Times, was supported with a music video and live performances. And this indie rock style meant that it had no chance of being a radio smash. Even when Styles had a UK and US #1 with this album, he chose to avoid riding the wave of a follow-up, instead venturing into the film world with a starring role in Dunkirk and an executive producer role on the TV show Happy Together. Despite this, it seems there's just something about Harry, because it seems like no matter what obscure project he tries his hand at, his genuinity and uniqueness means that he'll always have success.